All right.
Hello, so welcome today. Let's talk about the cost of living in the Republic of Benin for American and people who are outside of Africa. Of course, in my perspective, I'm going to talk a bit about people who are living in Africa as well. But here I have with me my friend who is going to talk more about cost of living compared to the US. So US, Benin Republic in West Africa, what is the cost of living? She's been living here for some time, and of course she can talk about the cost of living when you talk about the hotel accommodation or renting an apartment, and more importantly the cost of living based on her experience in the Republic of Benin already. So,
Yes.
Phoenix, introduce yourself and let's discuss.
Hello, everybody. I am Phoenix. I am here in Benin, making this place my home and getting acclimated to everything. And I am happy to share with you the cost of living here because, whew, it's so much better.
Now, personally, I have a question from someone who is retiring.
Okay.
She's a Black American and she wants to retire into the Republic of Benin.
Okay.
And she also says some of her friends are interested. I also got this question somewhere else. There is not asked me. They didn't ask me directly, but someone, he is young and he has children. Yeah, and she's relocating here to the Republic of Benin, and she's asking about the cost of living, focusing more on rent and the cost of living for food and transportation, health, and every other thing. Now, how do you think like the cost of living starting from accommodation?
Okay, so I will tell you that the first thing you have to overcome in dealing with the cost of living here is the perception. Because the money, the CFA, sounds a lot more, right, than the US dollar.
Yeah.
If I say something is $20 US, you know, we know what $20 is. But if I say something is, 5,000 CFA, we don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand?
Yeah, because the currencies are different.
The currencies are different. And so the first thing that you'll learn is that the money sounds like it's a lot more, but it's actually not. Prime example, just today, sitting here before you came, I ordered a plate of food. And I asked how much it was, and they told me it was 2,500 CFA. And I said, that sounded like so much. I flinched at 2,500 CFA. But then I sat down and I pulled up my phone and did the conversion. Y'all, I got a plate of food, which was chips and a side of chicken, quarter portion of chicken.
We call it a chicken lap here.
Yeah. Chicken lapierre. Yeah. Okay. And the cost was $4.19 US. We can't even get a burger at McDonald's for that amount.
I believe it is higher than the cost is even lower compared to a cup of tea.
Yes, yes, I will pay more than $5 for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And I had a full plate of food. Okay, so now let's talk about rent.
Yeah.
And obviously, everything depends on the standard of living that you want to live in. Okay, everybody has their standard. So we'll say if we put it on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the poverty, the hood, living in the hood, right? 5 or the middle being middle class, working standard neighborhood, and 10 being bougie. You're living like the tourists are living, right? Beachfront property, all of that stuff. Okay. I and my husband are living in a regular, standard, sort of middle class or working class neighborhood. You've seen it. It's steps away from where we are sitting, where we are making this video. Okay, it's a normal neighborhood where people have jobs and businesses. They get out every day, they take transport and go to work, or they open up their shops and they have businesses. Okay, we are also about a 20-minute walk from the beach, the ocean. Okay, and our rent is we have a 1-bedroom local apartment, 1 bedroom. So 1 bedroom, living room, kitchen, and bathroom. Okay, basic apartment, nice, in a small compound that's gated. We can lock it. It's not a big place. Okay. That apartment cost us 37,000 sefa. Sounds like a lot of money.
Exactly.
37,000 sefa. Ooh. Beloveds, that is $60. Actually, it's $59. It's $59 per month.
Yeah, that is roughly $60.
Yes.
Now, someone will say how easy it is to get 37 francs CFA, because that is one of the perspectives. So how easy it 37 francs CFA in the Republic of Benin? I don't think we are going to be discussing much, but the minimum wage in the Republic of Benin is $65,000.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean minimum wage, not the standard salary.
Right.
So just take a look. Like basically,
that's the one thing I really would love to impress to people here, is that you know, most people here are happy. They're paid a decent living wage, right? People aren't starving here and living on the street. So there's a decent wage. People live decently. And so whether you are working on the economy or you are working in US dollars, this place is also a remote workers haven. So those of you who are retired or who are working remote jobs, and you're consultants and you're working online and you're working for US dollars, how easy is it for you to get $60?
No. In fact, this is very, very like easy, because there is 100% electricity.
Yes. It stays on.
Yeah.
Not with a generator. It stays on.
Yes. The light stays on. Very stable. And you are living the lowest, you are living at the lowest cost.
Yeah. If you want to be the bougie, let's go to the high end.
Now, if you want, even if you want to be, if you like the highest,
if you want to live like a diplomat,
exactly. If the highest place, if you want to live like a diplomat in the Republic of Benin, is Fijrose. Of course, we are not far from
we're not far from Fijrose.
We are not far from Fijrose, where we are making this video. Now, this same apartment that you just described, you can get it as at 100,000. You can get it at 100,000 francs CFA.
Okay.
Right in Fijrose.
Okay. Yes.
Now
100,000 per month.
Yeah, 100,000 per month.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
And that's still, if we're doing real rough ballpark figures, that's 3 times what I'm paying roughly.
Yeah.
And that is still less than.
No, according to calculation, according to official conversion, it is $120.
Yes.
That is, you are almost living at the same block with the president.
Y'all, it's obscene. It's obscene what the cost is.
Almost the same block with the president, even though there are a lot of diplomats that surrendered the office, so that and then the big port is there, the Cotonou port is right in front of the presidential office, so that you can't get an apartment here. But in the same area with the president.
Okay, so I will tell you, I was just searching around one time, like having one of those days where I felt like I want to look for like what would be my dream home. You know how you dream, like if I had the lifestyle of the rich and famous and I wanted to get the most fabulous place, okay? I was looking online at places that were available, and I saw a place that was right on the beach. It was fully furnished. It was beautiful. It was something like 6 bedrooms. Each bedroom was en suite, had its own bath, right? It was fully appointed. It was beautiful, okay? And it was still about $1,500 per month. Can I tell you that the last apartment I had, well, where my family lives in Maryland, in the U.S., is almost $2,000 per month.
Wow.
And this was a 6-bedroom, basically a mansion, a villa on the beach, fully furnished, gated, everything fully appointed, and it was like $1,500 a month. So you could really be big balling, shot calling, living your fabulous life here and still not pay $1,000
Exactly. Now somebody will say, "Oh no, this is Africa," because they have some bad perspective, or maybe they have some perception about Africa. Of course, we have to be realistic.
Yeah.
Now, somebody will say because it is Africa, it is almost like a village. Now, can you tell me about your now the thing is now it is making us to laugh because we are in the city of
because we see it,
which is the cleanest city in the entire of West Africa, and we are living in a country with almost zero corruption. So just put that aside. Tell me, like, what is your experience perspective compared to America, like the security and just tell us about security compared to America.
I feel safe.
No, let's not compare to Africa. Let's
not compare to
America.
Anything. Just
let's not compare to America. Let's compare to every other Africa country that you of course you are living in some countries in Africa.
I've lived in Gambia. I've lived in Nigeria for a shorter time. And even in the Gambia, I won't even compare Nigeria. Okay, because Nigeria is its own thing. It has its own set of problems. That's a whole different thing. And there's a whole lot of things that happen in Nigeria that don't happen any other place, even in Africa. Right. So those who follow me know I did not feel safe in Nigeria. That's just that. We're gonna leave that right there. Let's go to the Gambia. Okay. It's a smaller country, but there are security issues there. There are things that I wouldn't do in the Gambia that I'm comfortable doing here. I literally, just the other night, I was feeling really restless. My husband was hanging out with the guys. You know, it was a match on, so he was watching the football. And I was a little bit bored, and I wanted to take a walk. It was almost midnight. I would not go out and take a walk by myself in America at midnight.
Wow. You mean it?
I mean it. I would not.
Wow, this is strange. Like I'm hearing this. I'm hearing this.
I would not. And I live in a relatively middle class place in America, but there's things that happen. I'm not going to lie to anybody. You understand? I would not go out as a single woman by myself on foot, just walking around at midnight. Anything could happen. I can encounter anybody.
Wow.
But here, I felt no issue. I felt like I wanted to take a walk. It was night, but okay, first of all, there's a nightlife that happens here. Businesses are open, people are out, they're watching, they see you.
And unfortunately today is Saturday, so it's going to be a buzz.
Yes, okay. And so I went out and I took a walk. I was out walking around. While I was out, my husband came home and he didn't see me there. He messaged me, he said, "Hey, where are you?" I said, "I took a walk." He said, "Okay, I'll meet you." I just told him where I was walking. We met up and we walked on home. It was no issue, but I would never do that. Even in America, I would not go take a walk at midnight.
Wow. Anyway, so I think basically that is what it is. When it comes to security, the Republic of Benin has one of the very important, very good security system. And somebody will think of business. I think I can talk about business because in the Republic of Benin, if you have a zeal for entrepreneurship, you are likely going to make a kill here, especially if you can actually make it and then export to other African countries. Of course, we have discussed that for those who are looking for citizenship by recognition. Of course, if you are looking for the citizenship by recognition, you can check the link in the description. You can send me a message and I will tell you how to book your consultation. Of course, the consultation is not free, but it is very, very important for you if you have any African lineage at all. Now,
can I say one more thing about the security though? I want to say this because I think that this is something that my fellow counterparts will really understand. Again, it's another shout out to the president here. And that is, when a government takes the time to care for its citizens first and make life fair and make prosperity attainable for the citizens that live there, crime is less likely.
Yeah.
You don't have you don't have people that are in desperation.
Exactly.
See, desperate people, desperate poor people do desperate things.
Exactly.
But when you have a fair life and a fair system for the people that live there, there is no there's no reason for them to get involved in crime because life is fair here.
Exactly. I think basically, I think it is said that the first step to cure to curb crime is to make life comfortable for people. So I think basically that was done. And then there is another issue of road network. Now maybe you have maybe you have not traveled, so I can be the one to talk about this. Now I live in Port Novo. Now we are making this video sometime, and I'm going to cross like 2 states. I'm going to cross like 2 states into another 3rd state today.
Okay.
I can tell you as a matter of fact that even though I'm riding, I'm likely not going to get into pothole. I don't know if you know pothole in America.
Oh, we know potholes in America, and they know potholes in Nigeria. I came to this country by road across that semi-border, and it was not a nice thing. Okay,
so I'm not going to fall into one pothole until I get to the 3rd state.
Yes.
So when it comes to road network, like it is almost 100%.
Yeah.
So basically, those are some of the things that you need to know. If you have any question that we have not touched about living in the Republic of Benin. Okay, now let's talk about hotel accommodation.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you have stayed in some places, so you have ideas. So
so we've stayed in we actually have stayed in 3 different hotel accommodations since we've been here, kind of hopping around, getting to know the place, but also checking things out firsthand. So as we have people who come here, we can advise them and tell them. Right?
Yeah.
I prefer to live a little bit more local than the bougie high place, okay? And so even the first place we stayed, we booked before we came here. We booked it online, and it was in Akabato.
Okay. Akabato,
just down the street from that place we did the last video there. It was a little bit, I guess it would be considered a little bit expensive by the local standard, but it still wasn't. It was like 15,000 sefa per night. Okay, which is, I don't know how much.
Is about in dollar, that is about $25.
About $25 per night. Okay. Now we went to another place, Hotel Saint Jean, that was here, and it was 10,000 sefa per night.
Wow.
And now we are having a little staycation at this very place where we are hosting this video from, DG Hotel, and it is 8,500 per night.
Wow. So basically, you can just see the difference. So now 15,000, which is $25, and then 10,000, which is less than $20. So basically, that is just the difference. And then you were discussing something with me, and I told you, you were saying someone came to book a hotel, and then they were asking for the means of identification of that person. Can you just explain this a bit to me?
Yes. Okay, so we were a friend was joining us booking here. He's a local friend, and he had left his ID at home, and so my husband was going to book the room for him, but they wouldn't allow it because the other guy was going to stay in the room, and so he needed to have his own ID. So he ended up going to walk home. We both just live a walk from here, so he ended up going to walk home to go collect his ID and come back so that he could book the room. But the point is, again, this thing on corruption and the perception of corruption. The standards here are the standards. It's not difficult, but they're very, very strict about it.
It is almost impossible for you to book a hotel.
You can't break the rules
in
here.
the Republic of Benin without your means of identification. I told you, we welcome people too. In Port Novo, there is this particular hotel there. If your passport is not on the system, your means of identification is not on the system, your card will not be able to open the door. So now it is all about against corruption,
Yes.
and the security of the people
Yeah.
living right there,
Yeah.
and the traceability of those people.
And let me tell you, they don't vary from it. As I said about talking about my process on my video about my
Your
residency.
Yes, I think we talked about that.
I thought the
another
lady
video.
was picking on me, but she wasn't picking on me.
Exactly.
She was adhering to the standards,
Yeah.
and I knew she wasn't picking on me. As I sat there and waited for my process, 2 other people came behind me, and she gave them the same actions that she gave me.
Exactly.
She did not venture at all from the process.
Yeah.
So that's really how it is here. No matter what you apply it to,
You have to
follow the rules, the standard.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just it. They
Exactly.
don't veer from it.
Exactly.
They have nothing to gain from it because you can't bribe anybody.
Exactly.
They have and they have everything to lose from it because
Yeah.
if they get into that bribery, they will lose their jobs. They will lose their livelihood.
Yes,
It's just
they
not,
will lose
and they
their
possibly will
business,
go to
they'll be
jail.
Fine. Yes, they'll be fine. They can actually go to jail for this. So basically, that is what it is. Basically about ranting. So I believe this video help you definitely. And of course, if you like this video, send it to anybody you believe it will help. And see you in another video.
Like, subscribe.
Thank you.